So, you may not believe it, but you can actually sort of have quite a bit of money in your pockets, have quite a bit to spare, on the same job and the same income you've got now. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying, oh, well, what you do is you go and start a business and quit your job and do this business. Or, oh, there's a scam, and here's how the scam is. Oh, what you got to do is go and blow your entire weekend trying to hock stuff at a market. Oh, sell my product. I'm not saying anything like that. With the same job you've got right now, the same incoming money, you can end up with another 7,400, conservative estimate. It could probably be a lot more. 7,400 after tax, not before tax, after, in your pocket per year. How does it all happen? How can you do that without a great drop in standard of living, without changing your job? How can you do it? That's what I'm going to talk about. Now, many people I see, they have the money come in one hand and it goes straight out the other. One paycheck comes in and by next payday, she's gone again. Over here we get paid weekly, not monthly. Now, strange enough to say, I was having a talk with someone who was like that, and they had a car that was, woohoo! To get it in the backyard, they had a gutter they had to jump, and they used to jump this gutter. Well, this is in about 2005, and the car was built in about 75, maybe even earlier. And basically it had cracks in the chassis, and the chassis would flex so badly when they jumped this gutter that it had now caused a crack in the windscreen. And I said to him, mate, your car's looking a bit rough on it. She's got the crack in the windscreen. You probably do another set of tyres and that as well. But I said, you know, what's your plan? You're just going to basically drive it till the engine burns out and that? And he's going, oh, gee, she goes through oil like there's no tomorrow. She's got no compression already. And I said, you're just waiting for something to go bang and it just stops and then you'll go get another car. And he says, well, the fact of the matter is I really just can't even, you know, I'd love another one. I just can't afford one. And I said to him, you see that thing I got there? I said, if I flipped that on my roof, I could just go buy another one tomorrow. Just go buy another one in cash, just like that. I was talking about the car I had more than 3 years ago. Not the one I had now, but the one I got now cost $9,000. I paid for it in cash. You can get yourself in a position like this. And it's pretty simple really, because there's a lot of little things that a lot of people don't notice. What it really comes down to is your incomings are coming in, and you've got to start constricting your outgoings. And I know the first thing you're all thinking, I don't want to drop my quality of life. I still like to use my heater. I still like to have an air conditioner. I still like to eat. You know, I know. I'm not asking that. There's a few that I'll get onto later that are small drops in quality of life that can dramatically change your financial outlook. But, you know, quite simply, it's all about looking at your overheads and how those things are screwing you, and there are so many stupid little things that providers and people you're paying money to don't tell you. They could save you massive dollars that you never even knew about. Now, one of the big ones is blasted interest on these credit card fees, these blooming stalkers. Some of that is 22, 25%. I mean, it's just astronomical. You know, I heard of someone who went out and bought a couch and then failed to pay these things, and then the penalty fees kicked. You know, they're supposed to owe about $45,000 on this stinking couch. God blimey. I can get a new car for less than that. I can get a couple of new cars for less than that. But that's what happened when they didn't pay. those things. Being late for paying things, these damn penalty fees on bills are killing you, you know. But one of the big ones that's killing you, if you don't miss your bills, is the interest itself. It is highly advisable to go and roll the whole lot into a personal loan or a consolidated loan where you sort of hand over most of your bills and they run around and they collect it all up and just throw it all into one loan. It's not a terribly ridiculous process and people do it over here. But to roll those into a consolidation loan will sort of allow you to have a little bit of breathing space. Not much, but a little bit. If you never use things, it's also advisable to sell them too. If you've got, you know, things, and I'm sort of guilty of that because I've got a fantastic hedge trimmer that I never use. I've only literally used it once. I keep oil in the blades to make sure they don't go rusty, but I should be selling it. You know, things like that. There might be an idea to sell a couple of these things, but you know that ain't always going to be a big kicker. You know, for you. Aside from gold jewelry and stuff like that, that can be a kicker. Selling scrap gold for, you know, jewelry that you don't use anymore, or, you know, that ring that you still got after you divorced that you don't wear, you know. Some of those things, there can actually be a bit of coin in that. But your general electrical goods, they aren't worth a cracker. But that can also be an advantage to you, and I'll talk to you about that one later. Now, another one I want to talk about is some of these line rental fees, service fees, line maintenance fees, meter reading fees and crap like that. God blimey, do they screw people over here for that. I got 2 bottles, propane bottles. They're £100 or 45 kilo. I pay something like 35, 36 a year. It was 30, the buggers put it up, and now it's like 35, 36 a year per bottle. There are people down in the capital who pay $32.50 a month for service fees, line maintenance fees, you know, meter reading fees, all that sort of stuff. Now, when you look at that, that's $390 a year, just like that. Some of these people, they pay $33.20. They use 70 cents of gas, pay $33.20 to find out that $32.50 is just meter reading fees, and like sometimes you are better if you use something a very small amount to just go and get the propane one and get the bottles that either you buy the bottle it yourself, if it's something you don't use a great deal of, buy the bottle yourself, or, you know, pay your yearly bottle rental fees for the big bottles. Or if you can buy a big bottle, because I can't buy the £100 45 kilo ones, I can only buy like the 9 kilo ones that I've got for my freezer. But if you can buy the big ones, think about buying the big ones, you know, and using that. This may be a real sticker when it comes to if you've got mild winters and you use natural gas heating, and that's the only natural gas appliance you use. You're only using this thing 4 months a year. It may be a little bit smarter to actually use a propane one and even buy your own bottles for that. You know, have a think about it, because it doesn't end there. There's some little old lady over here getting screwed for a landline. You know, she was paying $80 a month for a landline. You know, and I get like blooming phones and pay like, for mobile phone, my other one that I make all my calls on that, I don't make many calls, so I've got this really low plan. Well, it's not a plan, it's prepaid, but I've got it on a low thing. And it works out, it's $29 every 3 months. So I'm paying less than $10 a month. And people are getting screwed on landline phones paying $80 a month. And this little old lady, she was scrambled into this stupid deal, was too afraid to make too many calls because she's battling to pay the $80 a month fee for having the phone there. and being on this fantastic plan which gave it cheap calls, but then the line rental was just ridiculous. So you want to think about all that. And there's another one that's just so simple. There are some things that if you change your rate of payment, as in your frequency of payment, you can save a lot of money. Now, I know in the States you get paid monthly, but you may also want to look into this too, because we get paid weekly over here. And if we pay our mortgage monthly, we end up spending a whole stack more on that mortgage than we would if we paid it weekly. If we pay it weekly, we're so far ahead it's not funny. Weekly or fortnightly as opposed to monthly. I pay mine every 3 months because, quite frankly, it's not very much, and I don't feel like going in every single month. And to be honest, the fuel and playing around to go in every month or every fortnight is so high that I spend more on fuel driving to the bank than I'd save on the damn mortgage anyway. But there's a flip side of this that you've got to be careful of. And it's great with mortgages. When you owe them, it's better to pay as often as possible. When you hit other things, like bills that you've got to pay, some of those, yeah, they're fine to pay like that, but there's a flip side that you've sometimes got to investigate, and it works a little bit the other way around. There's an insurance company here that does car insurance. They are one of the few companies that allows you to pay your car insurance monthly as opposed to yearly. So a lot of people that are hard up for $1, oh, we'll go for that. But don't just assume that because they're getting their money monthly and it's something you've got to pay that, you know, oh, it's going to go great. It actually causes them a bit more paperwork. And you've got to look at these things. I mean, with a mortgage, it's often better that you pay it more often, but not always, because this place that gives you monthly car insurance, if you look at their yearly rate of paying the bill every year as opposed to their rate of paying it every month, you actually get screwed for another 2 to 3 months extra by paying it monthly as opposed to paying it yearly, because of all the extra paperwork and banking stuff that it causes them, or because they're smart enough to know that you're possibly stupid enough to fall for it without actually looking at what their yearly rate is. So you want to check these things out. Mortgages, it's usually better to pay more often, but some bills, certain bills, ones that are often paid every year, if you pay it every month, you're going to get screwed for an extra few months that you didn't need to pay for. You want to look into that. And, you know, there's other things that people don't really need. And these things really eat them up. And one of these things will save you $4,000 a year straight up. Now, there are things like gym memberships and magazine subscriptions, you know, and golf clubs and tennis clubs, and some people, they get into all this stuff and they're right into it and they go to golf and then, getting a bit old, my knees are getting a bit bad, you know, or, you know, have another baby, and, you know, they sort of don't get as many free weekends and stuff as a result, or as much time after work to go, you know, start doing a lot of overtime, or something changes at work, they move from day shift to afternoon shift, and all of a sudden these stupid memberships are never getting used, and it is easier to pay the casual fees for the 3 or 4 times a year you do go golfing, to pay the casual visitor fees than pay a whole year fee, because the yearly fee, you know, is just designed for people who are there every Saturday, and you're only there 3 or 4 Saturdays a year. It may be easier just to pay the casual member rates, you know, for the golf club, the gym, the tennis club, or whatever. So have a think about that. I also suggest a few other things with subscriptions. You may get a magazine, and your mate may also get the same magazine. If you're not terribly enthralled by that magazine, or you want to save a few dollars, or he reads it and then just chucks it out straight away and doesn't really store them up or anything like that and keep them for later reference, like electronics magazines, people keep them for later reference and stuff like that. But there's other ones, sporting magazines, that they just chuck out. You may want to say to him, look, when you're done with it, can I have it and then read it myself? That could save you $70 a year easy. And there's another thing, what I was talking about, selling a few of your products that you don't need. This one's a beauty. And somebody else who I subscribe to, who subscribes to me, who's a very good person with firewood, he bought another stove, and he could have gone in and paid a couple of $1,000 new. He got this second-hand stove, and it was $70 to get it and have it delivered to his house, and he paid an electrician to put it in, I think. But this stove cost him $70. I mean, it's $70, as opposed to buying one for thousands. It's the same with cars. It's said here that if, there's some cars that people buy and they sort of about to go bankrupt or they can't afford it or whatever, and so they go back to the dealership and they hand it back. And I've seen cars with 4,000 kilometres on the thing. That's like, hell, that's, not much more than like 2,500 miles on the meter. They're bloody near new. They're also about $8,000 cheaper than new. By buying stuff second hand, you've got this sort of a thing where it costs a massive amount when you get it in the shop. And as soon as it's second hand, as soon as it's pretty much left the place, I mean, this thing had only been driven for about 2 months, this car I'm talking about. A couple of months old, it's not worth diddly squat. You get to like 2 years old, the car's dropped like masses, like 2/3 of its value. Think about buying second hand. And if you're going to buy a new car, don't be afraid if they've got the same model now. Don't be terribly afraid to buy one that's only, 2 years old as opposed to buying new. And if it's got all the service things and all that, and they've come and they've done every service on time and all that, usually all the books stamped and all that business. If it's all like that, if you can tell it hasn't been abused because of the way it is, if there's no bloomin' lemon things with it, have a go with it. There's a couple of dealerships over here, one that my sister went to. They let you drive the car for a week. I mean, they give you a week's test drive. And there's also one down the Capitol down here that is doing the same thing. Have the week test drive. Go and pay him his little few dollars for his weekly test drive and drive for a week. And if you can't find any lemon things, if it doesn't start, transmission buggers up and won't go into reverse or anything like that, if there's no obvious lemon faults in it, buy the 2-year-old car as opposed to buying the new one. I usually buy cars that are at least 10 years old, but, that's just me. But buying second-hand is a great way to go about saving money. But I'm going to go over the little list I made here of, I'll just check my time. And we are way over. But I'll go on the list of the ones I made here anyway. Now, lunch, $4,000 a year. The line fees of using natural gas piped in, $390. Your gym membership, you can save $200 a year there. Magazine subscription, $70. Your credit card interest can be $2,500. Your phone fees, you may even save, $20 a month. That's $240 a year. That brings you to your $7,400 straight up, and that's in your pocket now. Before you're even bought anything second hand as opposed to new. $7,400 a year.